I'll get cracking. So I'll do a quick sort of introduction and then we'll get going. So three, two, one. Good afternoon. My name is Jim Conlan, and welcome to the latest episode of our sports show. As you know, for the third part of the section of our sports show, each week we look at foreign events taking place all over the world and foreign sports as well in terms of what is going on. And especially most times this time every month, we look at the world of sports entertainment. I'm delighted to be joined by one of the stars now of the sports entertainment world, a prominent member of the wrestling fraternity and wrestling industry, been going on the wrestling circuit now for more than 30 years, has been a member of all the top brands of the wrestling industry, from WWE to WCW to ECW to before to TNA Nonstop Wrestling, and then spend an awful lot of time the Impact wrestling circuit, independent circuit again, before finding his way back again to Impact Wrestling in 2019. The one and only Johnny Swinger. Johnny, good day to you, sir.
Thank you for having me, sir. Pleasure to be here.
Johnny, just first of all, it's been a long road to find yourself now to have a home once again in Impact Wrestling since 2019, to have your feet firmly stuck to the ground and embedded in the Impact Wrestling sort of roster. Is that sort of feeling a reward you finally feel at home?
Absolutely, and I've told a couple of people this. It's the only place I've ever gone back to, so I actually got a chance to return because I was with the original TNA, and I had a great time there, great run. And there's actually still a lot of people from the original TNA that are still involved with Impact, so it's pretty cool to actually go back and regroup with some old friends that I've wrestled with over the years, and now we're all kind of together in the same place. So yeah, I'm really having a blast with it this time.
And Johnny, you mentioned that, and seeing some of your ECW old fraternity mates, Tommy Dreamer, and Bully Ray, and Rhino, and to see that you're still going in the industry strong after 30 years and get to renew sort of friendships and see how their careers have developed and how your careers have developed as well. Does it almost feel like sometimes that it's a rewind backing the clock every time that you see these guys and say, hey, I remember last time we were in this ring together?
Oh my gosh, I see Lance Storm is one of our producers as well. And I see Lance standing in line at catering, and I'm thinking he was on the first tour I ever did as a wrestler in 1994. And here we are all these years later, still doing what we love to do. We're doing it together in a national TV company, man. It doesn't get any better than that. It really doesn't. You get to work with your friends. It's great.
I suppose, Johnny, Impact Wrestling, it's on a very much a skyrocketing roll back to the top of the wrestling industry. It's on a revival again since the COVID years. It's really taken off, and we've seen it now across so many platforms. It's on Impact Insiders on YouTube and all the wonderful subscription services as well on Impact Plus. Definitely Impact Wrestling is not falling behind its colleagues AEW or WWE at the moment. It's beginning to take off once again like it was in early in the decade in 2010, 2011, 2012. It went through a bump there a few years in 15 or 16, and then obviously COVID came along. But since COVID, it's been on an upward curve again.
Yeah, we have a pay-per-view called that we do once a year called Hard to Kill, and that is the best way to describe TNA Impact Wrestling, because when I was there at the beginning, they were talking about the demise every week. This might be the last week. This, that, and that next week might be the last. And here it is, 20 years later, still going strong. And like you said, a resurgence right now in popularity. And with the competition, like you said, AEW, to me, they're just on a bigger network. They have more viewership because of that. I'm confident if our show was on a similar network with the penetration they have, we wouldn't be losing to them in the ratings. I think we'd be neck and neck with them because we just got some unbelievable new talent that have come up the ranks, mixed in with some old school talent like myself and Bully and Tommy and Rhino and all of it. When you put it all together, it's quite the stew with all those ingredients.
And I suppose one thing, speaking to a good few wrestlers recently about Impact Wrestling, is the harmony now that's in the company and the togetherness. And maybe that once was not the case back in the earlier sort of years, but there seems to be a good locker room there, good sort of attitudes, good hard workers. You take the likes of Frankie Kazarian there as well, a good attitude, good worker as well. So they seem to have all the right sort of characters. There's no sort of, dare I say, egos anymore. But there always will be egos in wrestling, but there's no sort of bad egos, dare I say.
No, it takes a team, a good team, to succeed, and I think that's what we got now. Everybody works together and tries to help each other for the success of the company, and that's really what it takes for a company like us, because we're not publicly funded and we're not, on the stock market and all that stuff. So we really got to draw to survive, and I think everybody, that's why everybody helps each other out, because one person can't do it, 5 or 10 can't do it. It takes a whole crew of not just wrestlers, but our producers and referees, and just the amount of setup that goes into running one of our TV tapings. It blow your mind. The 18 wheelers that are just full of stuff, that we have all these great people putting everything together for us. It's all part of the big puzzle. We need all those pieces to make it work.
And I suppose, Johnny, in terms of creativity for your character, we always know your character is a creative sort of character. But Impact Wrestling has given you the front, obviously, Swinger, Palace, Casino, an awful lot of creativity, an awful lot of out there sort of storylines as well, of recent as well. But that always has been the case with the Johnny Swinger character. Are you sort of really excelling and reveling in terms of what the story writers and script writers and producers have each week for your character? And is there a good sort of unity and there that you're able to bounce off ideas off them as well?
Absolutely. We got a great production team. We got a couple really good TV writers, Robert Evans, Jimmy Jacobs, Tommy Dreamer's involved. And man, they just got some unbelievable scenarios that they come up with, and they're all in tune with my character. And even going back several years, I always felt there was always an element of comedy to my persona. And now I just go over the top with it, and I draw upon all my years of experience with all these crazy off the wall characters, and I just take a little bit from just the way they talk to each other in the back or in a car or in a restaurant. I just let it all spew out, and they got, like I said, we got a great team that puts me in these situations, and it's a team effort, and we all enjoy the success of it. It's a lot of fun.
And I suppose that must be the fun part of it, Johnny Swinger, to be able to go out there and really stretch the bounds of normality in terms of what you can do with this character, and all, dare I say, the wackiness that comes with him. And dare I say, do you go home and lie in bed every night, and the brain sort of switches off in the bed, and you're sort of there thinking to yourself, got to do this tomorrow, got to mention
Right.
this, got to take this sort of angle? Can you ever sort of switch off from Johnny Swinger?
Sometimes I catch myself calling out on the street, say, "Hey, how you doing, Daddy?" Oop, that's the swing man. I guess. Yeah, so I'm into it so much that sometimes I take it with me in the real world. So, but it's all in fun. It's all good, positive stuff. So it's my favorite run of my career, and I hope it just keeps going and going.
Yeah, and you mentioned that in terms of Impact Wrestling and the run the company's on at the moment, and obviously it's gone back to the real sort of hardcore, the gritty sort of storylines. You don't try and make yourself out to be PG. You don't make yourself out to be anything like that, all elite. But the wrestling has sort of turned back now in terms of that real attitude area. It sort of went, dare I say, too much family orientated there for a while. But the real sort of what brought wrestling fans, what brought that demographic, the young male audience, the 18 to 30s, 18 to 35-year-olds, that seems to be back in reality now. And we're getting the wrestling that really drove the business in the 90s, and that's coming back again. It took a while. It went in a sort of a funny circle wrestling there for a while. It became almost like a family show, but it's almost back now to its roots again, which is good, I suppose, for the business.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like the Impact, the company as a whole, really lets the cream rise to the top. the talent go out there and do what they do, because nobody knows you better than you. And the people make the stars. So they see who the people react to. And when the people react to you, that's when the company and production team all get behind you. And it's all, that's where the success is. I think you really got a freedom to be the artist. There's something inside everybody that's different, and the people that can let that come out and it gets a good reaction from the crowd, that's when they get behind you. And I don't think it's like that everywhere.
And finally, Johnny, just the last one or two questions for you. First of all, what's in store for the Johnny Swinger character now in the upcoming months and heading into 2023? Has he a few bones to pick with a few sort of characters, a few dare I say, scores still to be settled?
Yeah, I think maybe a title shot maybe in my future. I haven't had one of those in quite a while, and I think that'd be a lot of fun to sink my teeth into. And I really enjoy having Zicky Dice with me. He's a great guy, and we work well together, and we had a lot of good tag team matches, and look forward to a lot more with him and the new Swingers Dungeon scenarios, and just the new wrestlers we've got coming into the company. I can't wait to interact with a lot of the new. We had Dirty Dango come into our last TV taping, and had some interaction with him. It was a lot of fun. So it's pretty cool to be a long-standing regular for Impact Wrestling, and just continue on and just keep having fun with it.
And I suppose, Johnny, you have wrestled all over the world as a wrestler. You've been in the industry now for more than 30 years. You probably have come across our shores and in the independent circuit, and probably wrestled a few times in Ireland, dare I say. And was it only Dublin that you wrestled in, or Belfast, or have you wrestled in other places? And what are your memories? Have you any great, unique story for our Irish listeners from your time in Ireland, maybe for the last minute or so?
I think I actually spent an American Thanksgiving in Dublin when we were there for the World Wrestling All-Stars pay-per-view with Bret Hart and Lex Luger. This was 2003 maybe. So yeah, I remember that. We were at Thanksgiving dinner. We happened to be there for that tour in Dublin. That was one of the shows. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm actually half Irish, believe it or not. So, yeah, it was cool to get to go there. A lot of my family were like, "Oh wow, you got to go to Ireland. That's great." I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's a really beautiful country. I'm glad I got a chance to go, and hopefully get a chance to come back now that things are kind of calming down with the pandemic and all that. I look forward to get back some international traveling."
And finally, as well, Johnny, you probably witnessed it yourself about the Irish wrestling fans and the UK wrestling fans. They're very sort of knowledgeable in their wrestling. They're very sort of factual and dictative. They sort of know everything there is to know about facts and moves, and everything as a sort. Do you get sometimes to get blown away by surprise, or just feel that's the norm, that wrestling, in terms of the fan base outside the USA, in terms of how deep and how blooded and how invested some of those overseas and international fans are?
It's impressive, actually. And I always believe that wrestling fans in general are the most loyal fans that really stick with you for, like you said, 20, 30 years. But you're right. The European audiences, they're really on it, man. They really, I do a lot of these virtual signings that came out of the pandemic. And I always have, when I do those, a huge European contingency of people that call in. And man, it's just, they really do. They really follow us. They know all the stats of where we've been and all. It's impressive, and it's encouraging that, I stuck with the career I was supposed to for all these years. I'm doing what I should be doing, because to know that people appreciate it that much, to care to seek out all that knowledge and retain it. It's really impressive.
On that note, Johnny Swinger, thanks for joining us today on our radio special feature. Every month we sort of preview the sort of wrestling industry. You're our guest this month. Thanks for sharing your insight into Impact Wrestling. And for all our fans, again, do tune in, do check out Impact Wrestling on the FITE TV network. Watch Impact Wrestling on Impact Insiders on YouTube, or on the Impact Plus. So many terrific subscription services on Impact Plus. For me, to Jim Conlan, to you, Johnny Swinger, God bless, take care, and no doubt that title shot is only just around the corner.
Thank you, Jim. My pleasure.
Take care, Johnny.
You too, sir.
Thanks, Lauren.
No problem. Thanks so much. Another